I already wanted to talk about this, and then Putin killed Alexei Navalny on Friday, so it kind of makes this not quite as fun. But I watched the
Where are you going with this?
There's a lot of fun going on with Putin normally.
Well, there was when he fucking.
Well, there was.
He threw a sick surprise party for somebody.
He did a 2-hour-long interview with Tucker Carlson that I watched the whole thing.
Oh, wow, you watched
that
that?
wasn't
Yes.
good.
And
That wasn't fun.
That was a propaganda tool.
I wouldn't call that fun.
But that's what is interesting about it. I took a lot of psychic damage. I have to talk about this.
Right.
It was 2 hours, and it was really weird because Tucker Carlson's whole point recently, the reason all these right-wing shitheads are cozying up to this asshole is because he is the guy who, is sort of the symbol of Christian nationalism in Europe, right?
Okay.
So a big thing on Russian television is being like, America and Europe are becoming devilish and cultural wastelands because of LGBT people. Like that's a thing that they harp on Russian television all the time. And
They have that on American TV too.
No, but in very
the playbook.
specific quadrants of American TV, right? So people who are partial to right-wing nationalism and specific like Christo-fascism essentially have taken a look at people like Viktor Orban and Vladimir Putin, and they're like, oh, this could be our guy. If we could just have a way to rehab his image a little bit, we could maybe, have a guy that we could point to and being like, this is a good way to run the country, right? And like the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, which was based on Hungarian legislation, which was based on Russian legislation. So their shit is already leaking into the dark Floridian corners of our country, thanks to Ron DeSantis and shit
You gotta
like
watch
that.
out for these commies.
They call me crazy. I know no one said this before, but I don't like communists.
And they were really hyping this up on Russian TV. They were like, the greatest journalist in America is coming to talk to our president. Like, as if Tucker Carlson wasn't a guy that got fired by Fox News and is now
Was a guy that anyone respected
on
this
Twitter.
point.
And that's where he is, right?
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of Russia is they don't know who the fuck is a journalist outside of Russia.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a
right.
dictatorship. So like they know what they're told.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
They could be like, this is the hottest rapper ever. Here's Macklemore. And Russia would be like, of course. This is great.
here's the hottest rapper ever. It's Tucker Carlson.
Or Ben Shapiro. Remember when he dropped
Shapiro.
that verse?
Oh, yeah. At the beginning of the broadcast, Tucker says, isn't it curious that no Western journalist has even bothered to talk to Vladimir Putin since the Ukrainian war? And you're like,
yeah, dude.
what? No, they have. Literally everyone wants to talk to him. There's a bunch of journalists in jail in Russia that would also love to talk to him.
It's like, this is not because no one thought of it.
And the best part is then the Kremlin totally came out and they were just like, no, we've asked lots of people, but all of them are very pro-West. We finally found somebody dumb enough to have this conversation in a way that's going to skew our way. Like they just say the quiet part out loud. No fucking problem now. This is Russia. So that was fun. But the interview itself was incredible because at the beginning, Tucker starts into his questions and Vladimir Putin goes,
Are we having a talk show or a serious conversation?
Thank you. It's a formidable series.
What?
and because Tucker
Damn,
Carlson...
That's heady, dude.
Yo.
I'm too high to process that, dude.
But because Tucker wants to be taken seriously,
Sure.
he goes,
Yeah.
oh, it's a serious talk. When what happens next, he should have said it's a fucking talk show, because what Tucker wanted to do was to just basically shit on trans people. Like that was the whole point of doing this.
Okay.
But instead, Vladimir Putin goes, do you want to have a serious conversation? He goes, yeah, obviously. And then Vladimir Putin just proceeded to say a bunch of crazy shit about Ukraine for 2 hours. And they never got to the right-wing bullshit.
Sure.
So like one guy is trying to rehab the image of Vladimir Putin to appeal to like oinking fucking hogs in Florida in the Midwest. And then meanwhile, the actual dictator of Russia is just like, Poland pissed off Germany. That's why World War II started.
Yeah.
An actual thing he said.
That's fine. I like that he thought it was a talk show. Like there was going to be like an animal trainer, and like Kesha was going to be on.
You do monologue now.
We do fun Jimmy Fallon games.
You crack egg on head. I send you to labor camp.
Where's Andy Richter?
Bring me his head. So Vladimir Putin is the whole time he keeps saying things like, well, I've studied you. You studied history, correct? And he goes, yeah. He goes, well, let's talk about Ukraine. And then he goes, in the year 800.
Yeah, I mean, Tucker Carlson is like gets steamrolled all the time.
It's
and like
amazing.
Putin just says whatever he wants. He's like a dictator. So like,
and he just starts talking about Russian history going back to the year fucking 800.
Yeah, it's a useless interview. It's just like it's two insane people talking to each other. Basically.
It's amazing, but it's like, man, if you guys just had one of those
podcasts,
you guys were sponsored by Happy Dad Beer.
Yeah.
Could shoot the shit with Aiden Ross.
If they had just had a pre-show meeting, they could have gotten on the same page.
That would ruin the magic. Of
the magic,
it's
their
like
chemistry.
How Carlson didn't like to talk to the guests before the Tonight Show.
That's why Putin didn't want to do a pre-show. He wanted to do it like Carlson did it.
Yeah, but basically he kind of made the estimation that like no matter who's the president, the United States policy towards Russia is pretty much going to be unwavering, with maybe the exception of if Trump gets back in there, it'll be a little more favorable. So what he's trying to do is use soft power to kind of get around that and become a man of the people to conservatives of the United States.
I mean, he's not like a fixer-upper house. You're like, yeah, we could do something with this. Like, he's pretty much like solidified.
Yeah,
I mean,
they've tried to convince you your whole life, if you've lived in America, that Russia's bad. Right? Am I wrong about that?
Yeah. Well, they're Bob Vila-ing Vladimir Putin. They're trying to fix up this old house. That is really what's going on. But Putin didn't even. But then
part of me is like, they're also lying about Russia being that bad. They're America. We can't trust what they say about other countries who are bad.
It goes both ways.
Yeah. So people like Tucker and Alex Jones and all these shitheads, they're trying to build him up as the paragon of Christian nationalism. And like I said, it's kind of working. Like he is.
I'd vote for him.
Yeah, I already voted for him twice last year.
Tucker, all he wants is for Putin to just say that, he had to do a preemptive strike in Ukraine to stop the United States and NATO from, attacking him. And then they can move on to the anti-trans stuff that he wants to do. And then he just never gives them the satisfaction. And then a couple days after it, Vladimir Putin goes on TV and he was like, man, Tucker's a bitch, dude.
Really?
Yeah, like straight up was like, he did not ask me any challenging questions. I was ready for this great interview with this great American journalist and he didn't give me shit.
Oh yeah, fuck Tucker, man. Everyone hates Tucker, dude. No one likes Tucker Carlson.
And I was thinking, I was like, this is very much like a situation of, the end of Jurassic Park when, the raptors are about to kill someone. Like they suck, but then the T-Rex shows up.
Yeah.
Like, both of these are negative forces, but I love seeing Tucker getting eaten and thrown across the visitor center.
He sucks so hard.
And that was the plan the whole time, was to go do an interview and then throw him under the bus.
Yeah.
Make him look like...
who's better than the greatest American journalist?
Yeah.
Me, Vladimir
Your
Putin.
boy. Your boy, Vladdy. The best thing, though, is after he says this, the next thing that Tucker puts out was this weird little like side thing that they shot inside of a Russian grocery store. Did you see this?
No. What?
So he did
we haven't been to
what?
Fucking,
you guys don't have brain disease?
You've been following this more than we have.
You haven't been looking up Russian propaganda.
Why?
You don't have that Google alert? Just Russia as a Google alert.
So the interview comes out. It does nothing. And the funniest thing is, it's 2 hours. I watched it. It's fucking boring. But what that is going to do...
Yeah, dude, it's 2 hours.
You could have watched a bad movie.
I know. Well, I did. I watched Madam Web. I could talk about that too, but...
Please don't.
No, it's fine. It's not good. Don't do it. It's not funny.
Don't talk about Madam Web.
But the fucked part is, like, if I find it this boring... The right-wing shitheads they're trying to appeal to will not make it past the first 5 minutes of this thing because
they don't watch anything in its entirety anyway.
Exactly. But now that makes this interview essentially Schrodinger's cat. It could be anything. So now
don't watch it, right?
these guys can totally go on TV and be like, well, in his interview with Putin, Tucker said this, and they just make shit up because no one's going to watch this fucking thing. So it drops. A couple days later, Tucker comes out with this little, addendum piece where he goes, most people think that Russian grocery stores are still like they were back in the 70s and 80s where there was no products, but there's a lot of products. And then proceeds to do a thing that just tells you more about Tucker Carlson's lifestyle than it does about Russian supermarkets.
Okay.
These are the things he's impressed by. One, bread. He goes in, he's like, wow.
Bread is so cool, dude.
And it's just holding a big loaf of bread, and he sniffs and he goes, Russia's known for their bread.
Are they?
I think they're known for their bread. I think they're known for bread lines. I don't know. Bread. Bread.
That's I think you just said that right before this. He could just say anything about Russia. People watching are not going to fucking know.
Because no one watches it. Because
but there was there's the two other great things. He gets really impressed by. Do you know how at Aldi, in order to get a shopping cart, you have to put a quarter in the thing?
Sure.
And then when you put the cart back, it spits your quarter back out. It's a deposit to incentivize not leaving your cart in the parking lot.
Okay.
They have that at a Russian grocery store. Tucker's never bought groceries on his own. He is so impressed by it. He is just like, wow, you put a coin in here, and then
he's impressed by like the most like primitive like machine ever.
Oh yeah, there was that one, and then he has such a shitty comment where he's like, "This is so the carts don't end up in a homeless camp." And you're like, "Fuck off,
man."
Yeah, fuck off, dude. But then the last thing, which was my favorite, is he's like, "Wow, there's an escalator just for grocery carts." And I was like, they have that at fucking Target a mile that way. Like, what are you talking about? So
he's not a guy who can go in public.
Yeah.
That is a very good
without
point.
being pelted by
rotten
vegetables.
He can only go in public in like parts of like Arizona.
So yeah, of course he wouldn't know about anything.
Yeah, like being in the daylight.
Yeah. Also, he could have been totally lying about all that stuff. Not even impressed by the thing. Just wanting to be like, hey, you know what? America has homeless people, and definitely not Russia.
Right, guys. But then the best is he starts tallying up how much it costs, and he's like, "Wow, you can afford groceries for an entire week for just $109." Which is like, wow, that sounds cheap, until you take into consideration that he didn't bother to, adjust that for how much an average Russian makes in a week. He's just talking about Americans.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, if you work in fucking San Francisco and shop in Moscow, then yeah, it's really fucking cheap.
That's crazy.
That's how foreign economies work. So anyway.
Tucker's out of touch, huh?
He's real out of touch.
When did it happen?
Yeah, when did we lose him? When did it go so wrong?
Well, he tricked us. He took the bow tie off to show he was a man of the people with just a regular tie.
Damn, then it went all upside down. He was so likable.
The bow tie started spinning around. So I watched that whole goddamn thing.
You really keep up with this stuff. This is like soap opera for you. Like you're really like
right-wing shitheads are. I follow them the way people follow bad sports teams.
Okay,
and especially when they're down bad, like Tucker, where you're just like, boy, how much lower can this get?
Has he ever not been down bad?
No, he used to have the #1 show on cable, like far and away.
But did that get fucked up when Jon Stewart went on? Was like, you suck.
No, well, that's the thing. It's like he made his name being humiliated on national television.
Yeah,
and then spent the next 15 years building back up to the top of the mountain, being the #1 host on Fox News, getting that Bill O'Reilly spot, and just as a hilarious display of the Murdoch's power. They fired his ass when he was by far the #1 host on the network. So they were basically just
because of the lawsuit.
Yeah, exactly. Because
right.
they found him, on recording, just being like, "Yeah, I don't really like Donald Trump. He's actually kind of a bad look for us," and shit like that.
That's so funny. That's what he got fired for.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was that among
the election fraud.
Yeah. That was
he was a big part of that.
That was the big one. Yeah, it was the Dominion lawsuit. It was like, well, we either have to fire this guy or we get sued out of existence.
Damn, I wonder what Tucker's up to now.
He works for Elon Musk. That's why Putin
works for Elon Musk.
His show is produced for X. And so that is why Putin agreed to this shit, is because he wants to have an entree with X. He wants to have.
He wants to go to space.
No. No, he just wants Elon Musk to like him because he thinks he's like the master of American media or whatever. And the first step to doing that, he's got a lot of money.
Yeah. What do you call him? The master of American media. He's just this weird dude. He's like,
that's what
kind of evil, kind of on the spectrum. Like,
I bet a lot of people barely know who he is. If you don't spend a lot of time online, it'd be pretty easy not
if you're
to know
like
who
normal,
the fuck he is. Yeah.
like.
Well, I ain't normal and neither is Vladi, so but that's why he agreed to it.
Yeah, that's what you two have in common.
Yeah.
And a lot of like topless horse pics.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, join the Discord. I'll post some of my topless horse pics. But yeah, that was the whole thing. That was the whole reason he agreed to talk to Tucker, is because he produces his content exclusively for
Elon Musk.
Twitter now, or X. Yeah.
X.
So, but that's how far he fell. And it's so funny because they're always hyping up his numbers. He goes, I used to have this many people watching on Fox News, and just last week I had 2 million impressions. I'm like, that's just people scrolling past your shit, dude. That is not the same as watching it. So,
well, no one who watches him knows or cares.
Yeah, they're just like, it's the same with all the weird shit on your For You page where you're just like dudes with chainsaws making art out of trees. And you're like, what the how did this get in here?
That's the news from Russia with love.
We should go over there and do a live podcast.
Yeah. Well, no,
that'd be cool. We do it from the prison we get sent to. We're there for 2 years.
Putin would be a guest.
Yeah.
People would believe we're the #1 podcast in America.
Big
they don't
fan
know.
of the show. Putin is going to be on.
It's one of those things. It's like a guest we couldn't turn down.
We just do
even though it would be evil and bad, we can't turn down Putin.
Dude, this is the biggest get. We're
it
so
would be.
Close to a MeUndies sponsorship.
Even though no one watched the Tucker Carlson one, they'll watch us.
Yeah, no. We should just do like a Kill Tony for Russian prison.
Oh, dude, that'd be good. They probably got some funny guys in there.
Oh, man.